Mhm.
Hey.
What's going on?
So everybody, welcome back to the second part of this episode. For those of you who are new, I am Kristen, and I'm here with Eric by Body by Block. So this one is really going to be more about a lot of the questions we got from the website and just having you address them. So
Okay.
I would say the first one we got is from Kim, and she wants to know, will your method allow me to train on my own? She travels extensively for work.
Yeah, so basically, if you utilize the food to lower inflammation, you're going to have a grasp and control over just body size, body shape, right? So at that point, if you're looking to tighten or tone and you're traveling, I would basically break the body into its parts. So you've got legs, you've got, let's say, your back, your posterior chain, things like that. And then you have, let's say, the front half. So the front delts, your chest, your biceps, the core, things like that. The reason why I like to have a little deviation from that is because the core is really the entirety of the midsection. It's not just the front half. So if you can sort of manipulate to where you're doing, let's say, legs as an entirety, then you maybe are doing like let's say you're traveling and you do, let's say, a posterior chain focus, you can still make progress, still accomplishing a goal without needing to squat while, let's say, on vacation or wherever the case may be. So there are ways to, again, break that up. And then all you would need to do sort of for upper body to tighten, tone, shape, whatever the case may be, is a combination of, back with some shoulders, chest with some arms, things like that. And then, the more attention you spend on any one particular body part, the more developed that body part would become.
So going back to that, I mean, a lot of people who travel just don't have the equipment necessary, right? So if there's not like a hotel gym or they're staying at, someone's house, like, will this still work with body weight exercises or just things around the house?
Well, if the goal is just to burn body fat or lose body fat or, drop a size, so to speak, I would say just stick to the food and walk. I've had multiple people not only lose weight on vacation, but actually lose size on vacation to where they're coming back and their clothes are looser than when they left. So if you maintain the food, I would say even like 85% of the way, meaning you have your dinners and you go out and have some wine, stuff like that. But during the day, you're pretty clean, let's say. As long as you're walking, you will maintain either or, maintain your shape or drop.
So going to the walking, I mean, is that enough to still stay toned if you're
Definitely.
just doing the food? Yeah.
Yes.
Is there a certain number of steps that you have to reach, or is it just movement?
No, it's just, so the key with walking is that you're mobilizing fatty acids. So as long as they're moving, as long as blood is circulating and you have just the oxygen inside is readily available and it's being pushed to other cells and repair recovery is being prioritized, which would sort of have to happen if your inflammation is really that low, then what you're talking about is just, again, mobilizing fatty acids, walking, for me, spotting people in the gym, anything that is literally moving the body is going to work. The reason why I advise against just distance running is because you're going to cause localized inflammation, which will then lead to systemic inflammation. So example, you run 5 miles, you will have some swelling in the lower part of your body. Without a doubt, though, that has to then lead to lower back, whether you feel it, whether it's sore, whether it's achy, everyone's going to be somewhere on that spectrum. But it's inevitable not to have some level of inflammation systemically from running distances. So your body needs to first combat the inflammation and then recover. If you're walking, that's mitigated because you're not causing the same elevation of inflammation.
So then going back to walking, so you just said movement in general, but is it better to walk on an incline or does it not matter? Is it better to walk flat? Is it better to walk on an incline?
I prefer the incline for a few reasons. I think the incline forces you to increase the flexibility, mobility around your hip, right? In order to incline walk properly, the body needs to be upright. So if you are hunched over, that's poor posture anyway, right? So that has to be addressed. If you're talking about the incline walk as compared to just walking flat, though, your gait will improve, your stride will improve. You're using gravity as a force and a resistance that is not the same or not the equivalent when you're flat. So you're able to leverage and make further progress faster by utilizing the incline than you would otherwise be if you're flat.
So then going back to an incline, and I think a lot of people wonder, is it like a 3 incline? Is it a 15 incline? I know only you and probably very few people can go above
I don't do it.
But...
I don't do anything. I spot people in the gym. That's as far as mine goes. I would say 3 incline is good for cardiovascular endurance, removal of body fat, health, well-being, something like that. If you're doing a 5 to a 7 to a 10, something like that, you're probably doing it for more muscle recruitment and development. If you're going up past that, it's probably for stride development, speed, and explosiveness.
Well, and I just love how in your process, it's very intentional, right? Because like it's a very similar thought process, but depending on your goals, I mean, it does vary at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I think the process itself is something that, again, you can apply it to whatever it is you're looking to do, and then wherever you're looking to take it, that's kind of where you'll fall on the spectrum.
So I think that was a great way for just how to adhere to your process when you're traveling. So let's say we have another question that came in, and it was really about speed. So I know you train a lot of athletes from middle school all the way up to adults. And so really, like, how do you run faster?
So basically you start breaking your running into steps and patterns. So what I have guys do is I'll start you with the most basic motion, which is your hamstring. So I'll start with a hamstring curl. I like 2 different variations, a seated and a lying. From there, we'll kind of move into walking lunges and focus on form and execution. As we kind of perfect that, we then go to, I like the leg press because it forces the hips and hamstrings to be stretched and opened in a way that allows the back to come, down or maybe get a little bit of rest from the walking lunges. After that, I utilize a treadmill to help with stride, gait, cadence, timing, all of that. And then as I bring that down, I can increase the speed and start to see what it looks like to open someone's stride and to see what it looks like when they're more explosive and more confident in how they're moving. So it's starting kind of from the beginning and working your way up. If someone's just kind of like looking to do this at home, start with the basics. Get your walking lunges down. If you want to do it on the field, you can start with your walking lunges and then work on your striders and what that really means, form, and obsessing over the details of what it looks like, as opposed to just kind of going through the motions and doing the same thing over and over and over again.
So you mentioned that you kind of do the treadmill last after you start from the beginning to the end. So, I mean, would it be, I guess, what is the point of doing it at the end versus the beginning? So I know a lot of people will even ask like cardio versus weights first or weights versus cardio. Like, what do you think?
I put conditioning, whether it's for cardio purposes to help with literally your heart and lungs, or it is for purposes of getting faster, explosiveness, or whether it's for purposes of burning body fat and losing body fat and becoming healthier. I use cardio at the end. Conditioning I use at the end. Okay, a couple of reasons. There's a process when you go through resistance style training in a deliberate fashion, the way I like to put people through it, where you will sensitize cells known as your GLUT4 receptors. Now, these cells, once sensitized, help and enable the body to absorb more nutrition faster. Your recovery is now increased and sped up. The other way to say that is your blood sugar has dropped even lower. So the ability to not just burn body fat, but burn body fat and also recover post-workout is at a heightened sensitivity, if you will. So by placing cardio or conditioning at the end, you've achieved that sort of synergy, what I'm describing. And so when you go to recover, the effect is greater. So whether the effect is to lose more body fat, become faster, become healthier, whatever it is, it's a greater return on that same investment. So by sort of ordering your workout first and then following it with the conditioning, you achieve that.
Okay. And so let's also talk about the recovery portion. So when you talk about recovery, are you talking about like stretching? Are you talking about the nutrition? Is there something you should be doing right after your workout?
It's all encompassing mostly. I think the nutrition is key if you want to focus on recovering all the time, because it's the only thing that can happen all the time. So what do I mean by that? When you eat something, you obviously will be eating again, but we know our food sits inside of us and does certain things. Well, that's different than when you go and get a deep tissue massage. That's different than when you go and get cupping done, right? Yes, you get these things done again, but it's not the same effect as, oh, it's time to eat again. So I think if you prioritize the nutrition and reducing inflammation that way, all the other parts of recovery work a lot better and a lot more effectively and efficiently.
So thinking also in terms of recovery, there's always a notion of post-workout nutrition, right? What are your thoughts on just nutrition timing on post-workout?
There are differences and rates of there are differences in rates of absorption between macronutrients. Timing of day, activity pre and post, external variables influence when things break down, why things break down, where things are being utilized as far as the nutrition, stuff like that. All right. That's sort of the general way to kind of conceptualize it. So as far as the post-workout nutrition, there is a difference. What that difference means as far as your performance, depending on what you're doing and who you're talking to, that's negligible. So I think it's far more important to be consistent across the board with a focus on, let me reduce my inflammation. And if you're looking to have a specific, post-workout recovery meal, I would have something that conceptually is going to make sense with what we're talking about. So a lean protein source, whether that's eggs or chicken or fish or a whey isolate that's fat-free and carb-free and sugar-free, dairy-free, any of those items, all of those items, they're going to be minimal as far as what it'll do for raising blood sugar and raising inflammation. All right, so there's a box checked. Carbohydrates. If you choose things that are like, let's go with nutrient dense, sweet potatoes, oats, we know have a lot of fiber, rice, what you're going to be consuming are, you're going to be consuming, there's some starch there, but there's also a lot of micronutrients and phytochemicals that are going to not only reduce inflammation, but help in the recovery and repair process. So there's a higher value, let's say, to your carbohydrates than just bread, right? So another box checked. Then as far as your fat sources, some people try to remove fat post-workout because there's a delayed absorption. However, in my opinion, if you are talking about reducing inflammation all of the time, then you're really, and like I said before, your GLUT4 receptors have been sensitized. So that delayed rate of absorption, in my opinion, is negligible, in which case I would still have something like an avocado or maybe some macadamia oil with the meal to continue the reduction of inflammation, on top of the fact that both are going to sensitize your cells to insulin, which is a long way to just basically say you can consume more carbohydrates and they will hurt you less.
Okay. That's awesome. And so one more question about nutrition. So I know we just had our last chat that we had, you mentioned just overall wellness type of nutrition. So if you're an athlete though, like how does that differ? Like how does that differ at all? Or does it?
You have to obsess over the details. There's no, the people who are exceptional, and the people who take it to a level that they're so different, you just, how can you compete with it? There's an obsession. There's a commitment. There's a level to the process that there's a commitment level to the process that is it's just rare. And I think one of the reasons why it's so rare is because it's easily overlooked and it can be seen as a no big deal or this doesn't matter. And the difference between elite level athletes and basically everyone else is that's the difference. No, it does matter. No, the little details do make a difference. That is looking for 1% better is the difference, because there's no delay, there's no wait and let me see what happens. There's a sense of urgency. I need to get 1% better, and even if it doesn't make me better today, it makes me 1% closer to finding what does. And so people who have that, and there's a mentality that comes along with that, they're typically the ones who find themselves in that sort of elite category.
Got it. I mean, that was so super helpful. And I think, I mean, definitely tune in for the next couple ones. We're going to dive much deeper into what makes up that elite. And then I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be so helpful. So again, for anybody out there, if you have any questions, feel free to use the contact us button and ask Eric a question and we'll answer it next time. Thanks, everyone.
Perfect. See you later.
Bye.